I thought that the next piece was what really helped kind of get this company started, is that he didn't assume that just because he had dealt with this problem, that this was a problem for everybody.
Sure.
And then whatever he noticed is the solution. So after we received all this, like all these files, and it was literally thousands and thousands of transactions, he just sat there and manually went through it. And we all did. Like we spent hours and hours manually doing it. And every single time that we did it, and we found something, we noted the case, the scenario, and then we started to build a, effectively like a history of when do these problems occur, and can we identify the pattern?
Are we here with Nimesh Shah from XQUIC? Nimesh, what's up?
How are you?
I am good. I'm excellent. I love what you're doing with AI. So why don't you just real quickly tell me, what does your business do?
So our business is a software company that effectively takes travel agent activity and reconciles it between the travel agent, like Booking.com, Expedia, Hotels.com, whatever folks are using, and the hotel itself.
Right. So if I'm a Marriott and someone books on hotels.com, money is getting lost.
That's right. So we would say that more and more people are now going to third-party engines like Booking.com, like Agoda, Expedia.
Course, yeah.
And then when the activity that they've booked at that third party matches precisely to what happens at the hotel, there's no problem. Like you said, you're going to stay for 5 nights. You paid $200 a night. You go, you stay for 5 nights. You pay the hotel $1,000. There's literally nothing for us to do. But in any scenario other than that, that's where our software comes in.
Yeah, but if so, where does the money get lost, right? Because if, like you said, if someone books for 5 nights, they stay for 5 nights, no problem.
That's right.
What is the variable that money gets lost in?
So typically, a guest does one of two things when they book at a third party. They either pay the third party for the booking, or they make the reservation and they pay at the hotel.
Sure.
Okay. So when they pay the third party kind of makes those funds available to the hotel.
Okay.
Okay. So in my example, you book for 5 nights, you paid Expedia $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the hotel, something happened, you checked out after 3 nights. So hotel systems, they're just like any other systems. I'll say, okay, I've charged Mark, $200 a night, $600, and it extracts the $600 from the OTA. They're called virtual cards.
Right.
Now there's $400 sitting on a card. As far as the hotel is concerned, they got paid for what the hotel stayed, or the guest stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And now this $400 sits on a virtual card.
How did you find out that this was a problem?
We've been in the hospitality business for 15 years.
Okay.
And I have always made my kids work because I worked growing up. And so I would make them clean rooms and, do the dishes. And so one thing that my oldest son had to do was reconcile this activity. And the only way to do it right now is to go a reservation at a time. And if you have a lot of activity, then it takes hours. And by the time you get from the first reservation to the 434th reservation, accuracy drastically drops because 90% of them are fine. So you kind of start to, your eyes glaze over. You don't find the entire 10% that you're supposed to. And so he He said, you know what? I would rather not do this. I want to get out of doing work. And he built the very first version that solved this problem.
And I think, when I look at AI and where that helps businesses, the best place to start is there. What's the laborious task? It's taking a ton of time. It's prone to error, human error, but you could just do it really quickly, really easily using a computer, using an automation or AI. So is it AI that you're actually using? How did he actually build this out?
As things have gotten more and more automated, right? What I feel like we're doing is kind of trying to solve that last mile, right? You look at Amazon, they're not trying to figure out how to get the package out of what they're focused on now is that last mile. Okay. And so from our standpoint, things are 80, 90% accurate. So we needed to find something that solved that last 10 to 20%.
Okay.
And when you're dealing with disparate systems, it effectively comes down to extracting a lot of volume of data and predicting these scenarios that would cause something to be out of whack. So that's the approach that he took is that, the very first time he had the idea, he went to a small number of hotels and pretended that he had a solution. And
So he actually sold it before he built it.
yeah, so
I like that.
Yeah, so he said, "Hey, I've solved this. Do you want me to double check some work from your previous months that was already done?" The first step was to figure out would people be interested. The second was would they send the data? Like not everybody's comfortable sending data. I can be like, "Yeah, I'll double check your bank statement. Send me your bank statement."
Right.
They're not
Right.
going to do it. He found 100% of the people he reached out to sent it.
Wow.
So there was definite interest. And then the next thing is now all these guys expected something back, right?
I got to say that I just want to stay on that for just a moment, Nimesh, because I think that is absolutely vital for an entrepreneurial journey is making sure that there's actually a market there, because it's really easy, I think, as a business owner to get married to an idea and then double down and double down and triple down and quadruple down. And before you know it, you've wasted tons of time, tons of money, and the idea is just not there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Did you tell him to do that?
Nope.
He figured that out intuitively.
Yeah. So I think he was just following kind of what seemed like a natural thing to do.
That's really smart. Before I spend all this time and energy, I just want to make sure that people actually value it.
Yeah. And then I thought that the next piece was what really helped kind of get this company started is that he didn't assume that just because he had dealt with this problem, that this was a problem for everybody.
Sure.
And then whatever he noticed is the solution. So after we received all this, like all these files, and it was literally thousands and thousands of transactions, he just sat there and manually went through it. And we all did. Like we spent hours and hours manually doing it. And every single time that we did it and we found something, we noted the case, the scenario, and then we started to build effectively like a history of when do these problems occur and can we identify the pattern?
So you worked on it manually. So you were kind of like, you were bootstrapping it, so to speak. You were manually doing it. So how did it go from manual to automated?
So once we figured out the most common set of reasons why something gets missed.
Because you have all the data now. It's not just your hotel. It's dozens.
It's a lot of hotels, and it was like literally, I think like 4,000 or 5,000 individual reservations. So then we knew that, in 21% of the cases, it's when somebody checks out early or they check in late. And based on that, Niam built, he wrote a 7-page algorithm, and now it's much broader than that. And that is what drove the logic for the software. It's basically took all these scenarios we had discovered and then just said the moment data comes in from these multiple systems, run all these scenarios to see whether or not
It's cool. The other reason I liked it, and one of the reasons I wanted to kind of bring you on here, is it's kind of Alex Hormozy's style of make an offer so good people feel stupid saying no.
Yeah.
He's like, we'll pay for ourselves. Just let us get into your books. We're going to save you a ton of time. We're going to reduce your admin costs. We're going to actually pay you. By hiring us, we pay you. That's like genius.
Yep. So, and we started with a flat fee model, right? And we said, look, let's just make it so cheap that every hotel wants to sign up. But we quickly discovered that just reaching everybody, getting them to trust in a small company that they don't really know, was a task that was not going to be easily
But
achieved.
I think that's for every business. Like as you get more credibility and more references, it's easier to obviously jump through that hurdle.
And then we then moved to a percentage of savings model at that point.
Super cool. Well, I like you. There's so many things you did right, but as we move into this next phase of humanity, I think that finding the tasks, whether it's in your own business or other businesses, that take up a lot of time, that are very, very laborious, maybe it's spreadsheet related or CRM related, how can we use technology to automate that and save our own time? Because if I can save my own time, that's how this business got started. I was trying to figure out how to save time in podcast production because I'm producing all these podcasts, I'm doing all this media and this editing. How can I save my own time? I hire people, I build out systems. Other people want what I have, And there's just AI solves so many of these problems.
I mean, absolutely. And I think that if you are in almost any business, I was having lunch with somebody who was in accounting and a CPA firm. I mean, I think the way AI is moving, the same number of people should be able to handle 3 to 5 times the volume.
At least, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's it is, every single person should be stopping to ask,
how can AI solve this problem?
Absolutely. And it's typically the people on the ground who've done the work, who've lived through it. They are the best folks at solving this problem because they understand, they know the pain, as you said.
We were, so at the end of my panel yesterday, I had kind of, one of the first questions was, hey, we're going to do an AI day at my business. What should we do? And, I wasn't really prepared for the question, but as I thought about it more and the way I went with it was ask your staff to lay out all their systems. What are the pain points? Ask your staff, the people that are in the weeds, what's taking a lot of your time? What's frustrating?
Yeah.
What's the stuff that is that you think that you could, that doesn't bring you joy? And how can we bring in solutions to that? I think that's the best place to start. And then, you can go to Upwork, you go to Fiverr, even if you're not a genius like Nimesh's son here, you can find people that can build out these systems very efficiently.
Yeah. I mean, these days you can get code that works just even off of ChatGPT.
Right. Unreal.
Right? Now, not everybody is in a place where they know either how to do that or once it's generated, what to do with it. But to your point, we have learned that the skill is no longer in the programming in the vast majority of cases. The skill is in the logic.
Yes.
That is going to drive the software. So in our case, Niem, I mean, now he knows programming a little bit, but when he started working on it, he almost had no knowledge, and that didn't matter. We could find 10 programmers overseas on these, Upwork and a bunch of sites that you mentioned. The real skill was knowing what needed to be automated, how it needed to be automated, writing out all these scenarios in a very precise fashion.
Yeah.
And then going from there.
Super good. Nimesh, awesome. Love what you built. Love that you got your family involved too. That's amazing. Where's the best place for us to find you?
So we have an office based out of King of Prussia. You can go to xquick.com. That's xquic.com and see the cool stuff that we've done. And if you're ever on the Stanford campus, you should have somebody find Nimesh Shah.
Super cool. Thanks.
All
Awesome,
right.
awesome, awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Mark.
Mark. Thanks for the opportunity.